This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Head on over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today. Fans, founders, and insiders like you help us keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, this is Chef Art Smith, right here from Homecoming, and we're at the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. Okay, all you runners out there, I used to be a runner, ran 2 marathons, and a bunch of, what do you think, half ones, what do you call it?
Half marathons,
half marathons, whatever.
5K, 10K.
Keep running, keep eating. Thank you.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country. And after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 128 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Aimee.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
I am grinning from ear to ear.
And I wonder why that might be.
Well, because of the episode we have today.
We have been teasing this episode for darn near 5 months.
It's kind of like I wanted to keep it like in the vault and in the vault and in the vault. And I just release it at the perfect moment.
Is it the Disney vault?
Oh my God, I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did. I led you right to it, didn't I?
You set me up.
Walked right in. No planning, no prep. We just did it.
Broadcast professionalism.
Perfection.
Best.
Hey, we're so glad you're with us today that you could be out there on your long run. You could be on a short run. You could just be out there walking the dog. You could be cooking, cleaning, commuting, wherever you are. We are so happy and excited that you're with us every week. And we have something so special to share with you this week.
Today, we are celebrating the completion of our RunDisney Virtual 5K series that celebrated the classic rides of Walt Disney World and Disneyland.
Oh, yes. And one of our absolute favorites, one that we really need to get back to very soon. This month's 5K celebrates the Haunted Mansion.
So we're going to talk about how that 5K went.
Foolish mortals. I can't do it.
And then we have a very special guest on the show. We recorded this interview back in April in anticipation of hopefully being able to maybe have the medals in hand by now.
Oh, yeah. We were waiting hardcore,
And
like
then
to the bitter end.
And then get to go up to Disney and do something special for the show. Of course, things have taken a turn in the last few months across the world.
Shipping of the medals
That's
has
the first
been
thing.
delayed.
Shipping's delayed. Some people are getting them. We have not received our medals yet.
I'm sad.
But this interview, nonetheless, is a fantastic way to cap off this great virtual series of runs. And we are talking to none other than the man himself, Chef Art Smith of Chef Art Smith's Homecoming at Disney Springs.
He's connected to Splitsville as well. And a year ago, we covered that amazing restaurant, too.
And several other restaurants across the country.
My goodness.
So the fact that we had the opportunity to sit down and talk running, eating, and drink with a celebrity chef was just a fantastic experience. It's our way of celebrating the end of this virtual series, and we can't wait to share it with you guys.
He's connected to celebrities, but he is such a real person, such a friendly and giving person just to talk to.
Yeah, and the interview is going to be just kind of you catching up with our conversation in progress as we're talking.
Oh my gosh.
We just kind of let him go. And he kind of, ran forward, and we would just nudge him left and right, trying to get him to
a little bit
to the topics. But he's a powerhouse.
Oh, and he is connected to running, eating, and fabulous beverages in the drinking arena.
Yes.
So
let's get to the running.
Yes.
Let's talk our own running before we get into all of that with Chef Smith.
Okay. We've teased it. Now you got to stay tuned. Let's wrap up our Run Disney Summer Virtual Race Series. We, again, do not have a bell.
Ding. It was really, really hot and miserable.
It was.
Ding, 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 ding.
Heat index, when I ran today, was 110. Feels like heat index, feels like temperature, whatever you want to call it. 110. 110.
Oof.
It was rough.
Yeah, I saw you when you said, I'm heading out to do my run. I said, okay, great. I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah.
And when you came back in, you literally got in the house and sprawled on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I think I'm going to be sick.
Under the fan.
Yes, under the fan.
Under the fan.
And the air conditioner.
In the coolest part of the house.
And
I did it.
You did.
I did it before the recording of the show. I completed that 5K. I wish that we had the medals to put on each other at the end. I wish we had the little mile markers and bibs and all that. And there are some of our friends in the Disney Dashers group on Instagram and in so many Run Disney groups on Facebook that have just embraced this theme. I mean, the character at the end of the Haunted Mansion, that some of them have gotten into garb like that and recorded little snippets for Instagram. It's just been so adorable.
Stuff like we did for the Star Wars.
Yeah, stuff like we did for the Star Wars right around the time that we did the virtual Star Wars, maybe a little more than a month before we interviewed Art Smith. We were just hoping to get up there and be in the Magic Kingdom and actually maybe finish the race in the queue of the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, that was our plan.
But plans change. So I was out here thinking of all the fabulous Run Disney race memories that we have. The way that we got to bring Disney home in April with Mike Rallman from the Be Our Guest podcast, from several of our listeners talking about Run Disney race memories, and Art Smith, who has such a deep connection to Disney. So I was out there. That's the way I was combating the heat. I was actually doing some short intervals.
Now, when you say short, what do you mean?
So I set the watch to 15:45.
Okay.
15:45. But my goal was not, you know how we talk about the drills that Jeff Galloway prescribes us from week to week to improve our form and our cadence?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about the acceleration glider. And so I set that 15:45, and I was practicing my gliding, and maybe I didn't go for the entire 15 seconds. Maybe it was my intent to start walking for 5 steps, jogging for 5 steps, getting up to a little bit faster than I would normally run, and decelerating.
Okay.
So I did that for a good 1.5 miles, and then I cooled down for that last, for the last portion of that 5K. But I got it done, even recovering from injury, going nice and slow. I got it done in just under an hour.
And everybody should know, Aimee's ankle is still visibly swollen, and she's
bruised,
still
very bruised,
icing it on a daily basis. And she still got out there. Yeah. I mean, it's getting better.
It's getting better. So I still got out there, and I kept it really conservative. And I'm just happy I completed it, and I made it through all of that horrible heat and humidity.
Oof.
Which just goes to show you I should have gotten up earlier. But we know that lesson.
We should get a bell for that too. Ding,
Yeah,
ding, ding, ding.
Because, hey, We've learned it. We should know better. I should know better. How was your 5K yesterday?
Well, I did the 5K and I wasn't really much better than you when it comes to getting up and getting out there. I actually went out at 9:15 in the morning and did it. And it was a 10-second
While I was working, yeah.
50-second walk interval.
10:50?
10:50.
10:50.
I did that to myself because I was purposefully backing off of the pace due to the heat. By 9:15 in the morning, it was already a heat index in the triple digits. It was about 107 when I was running.
Well, I thought it was worse when you came in after you finished.
It was pretty awful.
Yeah.
And I finished that race or that run. I ran 3.11. I did it in an average pace of 13 minutes, 38 seconds a mile, doing a 10:50.
Excellent.
And
well done.
At the end, I sat down in the driveway. I threw on a Instagram Live and chatted with some of our friends on Instagram.
Yeah.
And, just kind of, recap the race and talk a little bit about looking forward to Disney. And we're planning on going back up there in a couple of weeks, depending on some stuff with work. But,
sure. That's
just,
our hope.
Yeah, that's our hope. And maybe by then we'll have our medals. Maybe.
I hope so that we can kind of do a belated medal ceremony and celebration.
I want to pose with the medal for each respective ride at the respective ride.
Oh, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to do that.
Yeah.
So
and then I think that the bonus medal, we earned for doing all three this summer was that classic ticket book from the 70s.
Yeah.
And I think that we ought to pose with that maybe at the castle.
At the castle.
With Mickey and Walt, and just live it up if we get that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So that's our tentative plan.
Here's hoping.
We'll be sharing that when it occurs. We'll be sharing that on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all of that. But,
we're going to have some homecoming brunch.
Yes, we absolutely are. But, this 5K virtual series, this is our third year doing it.
We love it.
I have no doubt these medals are going to be as amazing as the previous 2 years.
They are.
From everything we've seen online, they look amazing.
Yeah.
And again, we are fans of virtual races because this does give you that extrinsic motivator to get out, get moving, keep your training current. So if you're looking for something to do in the summer months, because it is a summer virtual series, the RunDisney 5K virtual series is one that I personally would recommend. Aimee?
Absolutely. 100% yes. I would do it again and again. I think that their themes for the last 3 years we've been doing them have been wonderfully executed in terms of the medals, in terms of the thought process and the connections they make to Disney and Disney properties. Whether it be Marvel or The Incredibles or classic Disney attractions.
So normally, after we have finished a run, we would go and get something to eat.
And drink.
Yeah. This week, we're going to do something a little bit different. Like we mentioned at the show intro, we sat down and had a really nice conversation with celebrity chef Art Smith of Chef Art Smith's Homecoming from Disney Springs back on April 19th, I believe, is the exact date we recorded.
Just so generous with his time. I just reached out to him on Instagram and I said, you have such a connection to Disney and we love your restaurants. We are Southerners ourselves. Your style of cooking and your creativity in the beverages, and come to find out, connections to family and memories. Just we love that, and we would love for you to help us bring some Disney home, especially in the current 2020 situation. And he did it.
Yeah, he got on the horn with us and just talked like we were, friends.
Yeah.
Just taking a trip down memory lane.
Oh.
It's a very fluid conversation, very stream of consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, what we'd like
We
to do
loved
now is just play that for you, and you're going to kind of join the conversation already in progress. But here is our interview with celebrity chef Art Smith.
Yay.
Northern Florida. Where are y'all?
We're in Cape Coral, Florida.
Yeah.
We're about 2 hours south of Tampa on the Gulf Coast, right now down near
Yeah.
Fort Myers.
We're in that area that you go through. You just hope the car doesn't stop. You know, that very wooded area between when you leave Florida to go into Georgia. And you know, it was typical small town where there used to be a train that ran through the center of the town.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen where they built these big Victorian houses along the way, the track. You know what I mean, on the sides.
Right.
Mm.
And we live in an old Victorian, and it faces the former track, which is now a running path.
Oh, wow. That's convenient.
So it's not. It's about. I think it's about a mile and a half. So when you go back and forth, it's like 2.5. It's about. You know, it's about 2.5 miles, you know, and is that right? Mile and a half. So that's 2 miles.
Yeah,
so it's
2.5.
It's about 2 miles.
Wow.
And I do it every day.
Now, are you a run walker, or do you run the whole thing?
I've always liked running, and actually when I was in high school, I was a sprinter, you know what I mean? But I never was that great. But when I turned 50, I was complaining to my agent in California, I really need someone to help me lose weight. And they sent this guy from Hollywood who's Australian. Really nice guy, and he got me really, started, got me started up with my weight and got it down. And he always said, he said, Art, people that carry a lot of weight have really strong legs. And so in Chicago, we still have a home there. We have the lakefront, and the Chicago lakefront is beautiful. And we live down in Hyde Park and down by the Museum of Science, and that's a very wooded, beautiful, gorgeous park setting along the lake, a beautiful path. And we would go there, and what we would do, we'd walk. He says, let's walk fast to the next garbage can. And then after that, let's run to the next one. And that's how we started. And we started doing that, and that really helped be a part of my exercise. And I went to the gym, and then he was trying to qualify for the Boston, and he did. And as his exercise was, he'd go run on the lake. He loved it, but he'd go run 5-6 miles, and I think he was just crazy. But and then he would do 15 a week, and anyway, as the weight came down, the thing was running. The lighter you are, the faster you can go.
Sure,
no doubt.
And so as ran the marathon in Boston, he's a very driven kind of guy, and he didn't place as high as he wanted, but he got got a medal. And he came to the restaurant that night, and he had the medal around his neck, and I was so impressed. And I said, I want one of these medals. I want to do this. And so he said, well, if you're going to run, do a marathon, you really got to train. And, I heard the crazy stories about people that don't even train and run them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yes.
And so we would start training on treadmills, and we would literally train like an hour of running on the treadmill, and upping the speed 4, 5, 6, 7, really going fast. And then we would do outside. It's the best training for running is a treadmill. And also stationary bikes are really good too. And so that's what I did. And then I lost down to like 120 pounds.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And I ran my first marathon. It was the Chicago Marathon in 2010. And I finished in 4:20.
Wow.
For a 50-year-old man, that's pretty good,
Oh.
And that was your first and only marathon.
No,
But he was really funny. He was like, I said, what if I have to pee? He says, get a water bottle. I said, what? Pee in the water bottle? No. And I said, what? And I said, I ain't going to do the other. And he goes like, He was like, it was so funny. I could, that was the part of like, Az, I can't do that. And Az ran next to me and would not let me stop for a water break. He'd grab the water and give it to me because he didn't want me to lose my time.
Right.
Oh.
And I placed really well for my age. And then I was like, I have to do this again. I got to do this again. And so I was like, being a gay man, I was like, I want to run the Marine Corps marathon. All those Marines, And so I ran the Marine Corps 3 weeks after the Chicago Marathon. And the reason why I want to run it was called the Hot Marines. And second,
Of course.
and she did it like 4 something, and I wanted to beat her time. And so
Now,
I ran
whose
it.
whose time was it you were trying to beat?
Oprah's.
Oprah's.
You don't
Okay.
remember when Oprah ran the Marine Corps Marathon?
No.
What year was that? I
year was
remember,
that?
but I don't remember what year was that.
She ran it back with Bob back in the early 90s or late 80s. And so
Okay.
she ran it. And yeah, there were some attractive men, but by the time you get into it, you don't really give it. The thing about it was, what I started doing is I had a restaurant in Washington and on Capitol Hill.
Ooh.
And I was run from my restaurant to the Lincoln and back, which was 5 miles total. And I loved it. And I loved running down the mall to the Lincoln and back.
I bet
There's
that's
something
inspiring.
so majestic and beautiful about running around the Capitol, and then you go down the mall, and then the Washington Monument, and then there's the Veterans Fountain and the World Wars fountains, and then there's the Lincoln Memorial. You run up the steps and run down back to the steps by the reflection pond. I mean, it's cool. It's really cool, And I was so into it, and then I ran the Marine Corps, which I loved. And I remember it was like 4 a.m, and I was talking to Mrs. Biden, Mrs. Biden is a runner, and
Did not know
she's
that.
in great shape, by the way. Dr. Biden, excuse me. She's a teacher, a professor, and so they liked having a chef run it. That was another thing. The chef, I was one of those first chefs to run. Now, I don't know if Richard Blaze was running then, but I don't think so. But anyway, Richard runs a lot now, but he does like a lot of trail running and stuff. But anyway, do you ever run the Marine Corps?
No.
That's on our list.
We want to
we have
so
friends
badly.
that have done it and have said that we absolutely need to.
Running around the monuments is fabulous, okay? And across the Arlington, across the bridges, Potomac, fabulous. But there is this lonely-ass peninsula. I mean lonely. And it's a peninsula that jets out, and ain't nothing out there. Ain't nothing to see, nothing. And you're going like, Lord Jesus, just get me out of this race. And you finally get around it. And then you finally see the Lincoln, and you're happy. And then we run across the Roslyn, and then you see Imagemo's, the statue, and you're like, thank you, Jesus, I finished. And, so it was great. But when I did this, it made a lot of noise, and I was. When you run, you move differently. Runners are light on their feet and they prance around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I would also I was with my running on the treadmill. I also like to dance on the treadmill when those. I listen to my music and dance on the treadmill and go back and forth and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I would be prancing around the restaurant, and these people came in and they're like, "You need to change those shoes." I'm like, I just looked at them. And it was Nike. And Nike says, we're going to get you some new ones. So Nike shows up with 2 pairs or 3 pairs of beautiful shoes, like not even on the market. And so I started running in Nikes, and they loved it and everything, and stuff in Nike. And then Jesus and I decided to get married and have this huge wedding. And he wanted to get married at the Lincoln. Now, mind you, the Lincoln is 5 miles from the restaurant. So I'm thinking like, how are we going to get people there? So we had a run from the restaurant to the Lincoln. You could run, walk, you could bike, you could take a taxi, you could take a rickshaw, whatever, to go there. And I ran. and Nike
Really?
gave everybody a pair of shoes, running shorts, shirts, everything. I think it's probably one of the first. I don't know if there's been one since a wedding run. Carl Hall did this breakfast, and it was wonderful. And then we ran back, and all these celebrity chefs from Top Chef did this wonderful fried chicken party.
A fried chicken party?
Yes.
What did that entail?
A lot of fried chicken.
A lot of fried chicken.
That's the best way to end a run.
And then after, you ever heard the group Straight No Chaser?
Yes.
They performed. And then we had an after party, and I was a huge fan of Moby, and Moby performed on the roof, and it was all vegan.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a doozy.
That is I'm marveling. Being a child of the 70s and 80s, with college in the 90s. Moby was big in my musically formative years.
Yes, and you remember he did that movie. The movie that I think whoever was in The Island and all that stuff. With that all that great music they used to soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. But he is a devout vegan, and so. But it was cool. But, I have been since, and I've worked with Disney for many years, and, I was in the Magic Kingdom College program,
yes.
and they published a bunch of my books. And then and when I opened Homecoming, it was great because, it was everything I loved about Disney. And then I didn't even know about Disney marathons until the runners would come and eat and carb up and everything. And I loved that. And then, of course, when I started seeing the medals from the runs, I'm like, it's all about the medals.
Absolutely.
Of course.
It's all about the medal,
Well, you knew
and
that.
I swear I'm more proud of my marathon medals than my James Beard medal.
Are you?
All these chefs are like, oh, their little James Beard award, blah, blah, blah. I'm like going, okay, fine. You try running 2 marathons, okay, and complete them. Hello.
For sure.
Now, let me ask you.
And they do a wonderful job with the medals, and I don't, and so I have been tempted to run one.
That was my question.
But I have to get myself in prime shape to do it, and I might, I'm when all this is over, I'm going to return. I look a lot different than before, and I'm going to return. And I'm going to run. I'm going to run one and make it, and blow it out.
You're going to run a Run Disney race.
Yep.
Now, the ultimate question would be, which one?
I don't know.
I mean, are you going to do, because there's the Wine and Dine weekend, there is the Disney Marathon weekend, and then there's the Star Wars weekend.
Well, I can run any of them because I got the hookup. But
of course.
But I don't know. I don't know. I just think that.
Oh, there's the Princess weekend too.
Is that a marathon or a half?
Well, everything is a half except for the Disney Marathon weekend at the beginning of January.
I'd probably be really. I'd probably either. I mean, George Lucas ate my restaurant, and I love him. And probably the Star Wars or the marathon weekend.
Yeah.
And
I knew I loved Chef Smith for a reason. This is why.
It's incredible. God, the Run Disney race experience is just incredible.
Whatever one's the most scenic. If I want to, one thing I love. Now, I'm very sensitive. Like in Chicago, the best thing about the Chicago Marathon is you run through all the different neighborhoods.
Ooh.
They all smell differently in the food. Like you run through Chinatown, you run through Little Italy, they all have these great smells. And of course, you're starving half to death.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
This is a great tip because Aimee got into Chicago and is running it, assuming that everything goes off like it's supposed to, in October.
Right. That's cool.
And it'll be my first marathon.
But it was so funny. When I ran the first one, it was so funny. I had like a pocket full of Aleve. And someone had told me, like, if you take an Aleve, it helps, like, if you're, to give you, it makes, if you have any pain, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I pulled one out of my pocket, and Az gave me a look like, what is that? I said, it's an Aleve. He goes, like, throw it away now. Because I was thinking, like, oh, I'm going to be in pain, and I'm going to hurt. Didn't have any pain or hurt, nothing.
Really?
It was just, it was like, I was like, what he did was I love espresso. I love espresso.
And he made me go off caffeine like 2 weeks or a week before the race.
No caffeine?
Nope.
Oof.
And then he said, I don't want you to drink the caffeine until the race.
Really?
Yeah, because he said that my body had become too used to the caffeine. And he said
Oh.
he wanted it when I did have it to really do what it's supposed to. And I did. I do. I like now I have my espressos and I run the path. It helps me. I don't know. I mean, I know that's, I mean, it's just I try really. That's kind of my little secret is the espresso. And I now am doing. I don't run. I don't also run. I don't eat and then go run. I don't do that. I run. I eat after.
So you run on an empty
Yeah.
stomach.
Right.
Oof.
So you have espresso beforehand, and then you run, and then
Right.
you eat.
Yes.
So there is no carbo loading for you.
No.
So what is a normal training run look like for you now, Chef? Are you how many miles are you putting in on average?
Well, I'm not training for any run, so what I'm doing is just I'm just trying to keep my metabolism up so that I can, I mean, Lucas, who has been working with me, I brought in this wonderful friend of mine. He is Argentinian, but he is a pro rugby player. And you know what rugby players are like? They're like some tough boys, okay? They slam each other with no kind of protection, you know what I mean?
Right, no pads.
But he's 27, he's got lots of energy.
Oh boy.
But we started in February 1st. By April 1st, I'd lost 40.
Wow.
A week and a half after, I'd lost 54.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't want me to get any, people don't like me as skinny as I was when I ran because they say, I don't know, people love that funny fat chef thing, which kind of drives me crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, look, come on, people. You know what I mean? And that's one thing, with what's going on. I mean, when you carry all that weight, your immune system is not good and this and that. I mean, I'm like, so I've started this whole healthy comfort virtual cooking series. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm getting
on
a pretty
Instagram.
big following. We get 10, 11,000 people watch it.
And you do that on Wednesdays, yeah?
Right. And I'm getting ready. I'm going to do like sweet tea, biscuits, and pimento cheese. Something. It's real simple, but it I know that it works when people start messaging me and send me pictures of their food they made. That makes me feel good. And where people call and make reservations and they said, we've watched art and we loved it. And so we'll have to do something. I don't have my medals, but if I had my medals, I would do something. I should promote the run thing, but you know how people are kind of anti-running, saying, oh, it's bad for your joints. Oh,
yes.
it's that.
Most of our family.
Come on, honey, please. I'm 60 and I'm running. Okay. And there are people older than me that run. Okay.
Yes.
It has a lot to do, quite honest with you, with the kind of shoes you wear. It has a lot to do with the way that you're trained to run, the way your foot hits the ground and learning how to, all that.
Yeah.
And it's good. And Az taught me all that.
Our coach is Jeff Galloway. So
I love him.
We love him. He e-coaches. He's e-coaching me for Chicago right now. And he's like, well, you need to get fitted for the right shoes because
it's all about the shoes.
Yeah, and you need to have a gait analysis because that's what
kind of shoes did you guys get?
Well, I got Brooks.
They're great.
Addictions. Yes.
Nikes are great, like working out shoes, but for long distance running, it's better with like a Brook or, one of those not Missoni, what they call
Mizuno.
Mizuno. That's what he wears.
Mizuno. And, I love Nike, but it has a lot to do with the way they fit your feet. And, and it's so, you have to be so really, I have kind of wide feet, so I have to be really careful. And also my toes are kind of rubbing against each other and all this kind of stuff. But it's all about the shoes. And if you wear the wrong shoes, you're going to have problems.
Yeah. And
And I also have lower back stuff, and again, and also too has to do with the amount of weight you carry. It
yep.
has to do with the way you run. I'm sure the doctor. I'm sure he would tell you the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's you just don't go out and start jogging and running. You have to be taught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's definitely an art to it. And I think that has a lot to do it. It's just like training to lift weights. I mean, there is definitely an art to it. That's so, but I think what the best part about running is that it doesn't require anything. It requires very little from, in terms of equipment, just a great pair of shoes and an appropriate running wear,
Yeah.
and just a will to want to do it. And you also have to develop this sense of rhythm, and 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 in your feet, and just really. And the other thing that really kept me going was great music. And
Yeah.
I found my a friend of mine had given me one of the old what do you call those, the little stick that with the music on it, what do you call it, you put program music on,
Like an iPod type thing?
yeah, an iPod. And I love it. And it really, a phone to me is just too damn heavy, and I don't like it on my arm. I just
Sure.
like something very light.
Keep it simple.
And I don't know if they do it anymore, where they used to put the little thing in the shoes to see how many miles that you ran and all that stuff. Do they still do that?
They built it
No.
all into the watches and the phones now. I don't even
Yeah.
think you can get the sensors for the shoes anymore.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, it's come on. And don't you remember wearing those big, what do you call it? Those big wrist kind of things where, doing all your stuff and everything. And that's all now on your phones.
Yeah.
I never was big on Fitbits, and I'm sure people love those, but I could never remember to wear it or to charge it.
I can only imagine if you wore one doing everything you do in the restaurant, that you would probably get 20,000 steps a day. We've watched you work the restaurant at Homecoming in Orlando at Disney Springs.
Yes.
And I'm like, he's a busy guy, and he doesn't need to be that busy.
Well, it's all part of it.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
People have to know that there's a real person, and they also want to know that you're nice. And there are nights when I start getting late, and I can feel myself like, and I'm like, I want to be as, it takes so much energy, because it takes me over an hour to get around the whole restaurant. And and that's one
and
of the
you're
things that I'm
nonstop
most
during that
concerned
hour.
about with reopening. It's like, will I get to go work the rooms like I used to, and that kind of stuff, and you know what I mean? Things are, and that's all kinds of things that we're all concerned about. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But we can't live in fear. We have to go forward. And
for sure.
We've been through a lot, of other things before, and we'll get through it like we got through other things.
Absolutely.
We persevere, and
Yes.
It's just like a marathon. It is very much like a marathon. This thing that we're going
Because there are
through.
times in a marathon you're like, okay, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being paid to do this. I'm just doing this to prove to myself that I can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've already proved to myself I'm doing it, but I don't need to, I keep thinking, like, if I did it again, I'm like thinking, would I need Az to be next to me? And I might. He's wonderful. He's really, really wonderful. Az Ferguson, just an amazing. He's now Will and Jada Smith's trainer.
Oh.
And I just love him with so much. I mean, and he was just so thoughtful. Now he's total crazy about eating food. Oh my God. He'll look at you. Don't even think about eating that.
Oh no.
And this is the part that would make you laugh. Okay. So when we would do races, we would share a room. Okay. And he would sit and watch me, and he goes like, you open your eyes, you're dead. Because he said, you've got to get at least 8 hours sleep. I mean, he was a fiend about that.
About sleep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, he was a fiend. He says, you've got to get 8 hours sleep. You've got to get it. And he says, you don't sleep, you retain your weight, your water, blah, blah, blah.
Stress.
Honey, he was a toughie.
Yeah.
But I love him, and I still am grateful for him. And of course, I love Lucas. He got me started again. And he's great. I'm not going to be a rugby player. Lucas is real big on CrossFit. I watched
Mm-hmm.
that CrossFit movie the other night on Netflix. You ever watch that one?
No,
Now,
but we've
what?
done CrossFit.
Yeah.
It's some serious stuff.
It's rough.
It
I
is
mean,
rough. It is very serious.
yeah.
What I found while watching it, it's a lot like triathlons. I didn't
Yeah.
realize they do all that other stuff, and and I keep thinking like, okay, maybe I should do that. I'm like, and but I don't. If I can run a marathon, I can do CrossFit.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
but like with Lucas, he's like, he's one of those athletes, which those people that if he's not excellent doing it, he ain't gonna do it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
such a perfectionist. And so you need people like that around you that only expect excellence,
Yeah.
because that's the kind of trainers that you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want anybody like, oh, okay, you can, you don't have to do that today.
Slack off. No.
No.
No, I'm paying that trainer to beat my ass for the time
Yeah.
I've got
Right.
them.
For sure.
Oh my God. I've had some almost ass beating times on the trail where I'm like going like, I don't want to do it. He got to look at me like, really. I mean, we've had some moments, but that's part of the building up the relationship.
Mm.
I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
since you brought it up, you've run 2 marathons, you've done the training, you've been out there pounding it out on the pavement. Do you have any best runs or worst runs that really stick out in your mind? A good story that might resonate with some of the listeners of the Runcation Nation?
And no, I've never had, with him as he was so protective of me and watchful, and he just wouldn't let me run unless I was in perfect shape.
Mm.
So I never had anything bad.
Having somebody who's looking out for you like that's great. I mean, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, it is. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah. Now, does he look after what you're eating? Do you all collaborate on?
Oh yeah. What is the diet like when
Yeah.
you're in training mode?
Oh,
What's
yeah.
your diet look like?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's really tough. But it took that in order for me to be successful. When you take a 50-year-old man and turn him into a marathon runner, over 2 months, this is some serious business.
So what did your diet look like when you were doing that level of training?
Well, I started out what we call it the art start, and what it was a little bit of oatmeal, a little yogurt, egg whites. There was some kind of protein. It was either Greek yogurt or egg whites, a cup of espresso, and a lot of water.
Mm.
And then for a snack, I'd have some kind of shake.
Mm-hmm.
And then for lunch, I would do some kind of protein and greens.
Mm.
And then I would have a shake or something during the afternoon, and dinner would be some kind of protein and greens. And it was a lot of the same stuff all the time. I didn't mind it because I was successful.
Yeah.
But it just didn't, and that was it. But and then we would have a cheat day, but you couldn't cheat that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After we did the marathon, Marine, I got to eat pizza, which I love.
Ooh.
And then after I did the Chicago Marathon, I was craving. I ate a green chili burger, which I loved. But he was still like, don't blow it. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was like, it was great. And when I started losing weight, my whole thing was I just wanted to get in People magazine, which I did. And but it was just that era where it was like, to go beyond the fat chef thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sure.
What was crazy is that I had done, gotten past that and everything. And I did this TV show that just shot me way up, and it was called Top Chef Masters on Bravo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Oprah introduced me. Top Chef made people love me. Because it when I cried, people cried and they loved it. And when I was funny, they laughed and everything. But I was a fan favorite, and then what happened was I was huge. I could show you a picture you would just not believe. This is before Az, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was, then I met Az after Top Chef. I became so successful with that, and I got a show. I started working out during getting ready to shoot the show. And the producers did not like me skinny at all. And they canceled the show.
Oh,
Sure did.
no.
TLC canceled it because they didn't want a skinny chef.
Huh.
That is so crazy.
And the show was based around finding comfort. And you don't remember those shows where all these guys like all these things all this stuff they would eat and all this kind of crazy stuff and everything. You know what I mean? It was just that era, but like, I I have friends that did that stuff, and it had a profound effect on their system. I mean, where they would eat like the hottest food and it burned their stomach from eating stuff like that. I mean,
Right.
it was just crazy.
You can get comfort in other ways. That's so crazy.
You can. I'm basic. I love chicken soup and I love a really good omelet and that's comforting to me and I love I love greens and we have our own chickens, so we have our own eggs and they're delicious and so I can find really good stuff and the key, and I eat very normal even with my weight loss, but the key is not to eat anything processed. Processed food will put the weight on you, and stay away from soda, period. No soda, lots of water. I mean, I love iced tea and I don't eat a lot of sugar, but I drink sweet tea. I don't put that nasty artificial stuff in it. It doesn't taste good and I don't like it. And it hasn't put weight on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just like, and I use like cane sugar. I'm just telling you, I mean, it's just any processed food is going to put weight on you. As simple as that.
That's what we've
you
been.
Just have to. I mean, I know I'm not hating on it, but I'm just telling you, if you want to watch your weight, you have to limit your intake of processed food.
It's so true because we just last week, these past 2 weeks, we have had Juliana Hever and Ray Cronice, the authors of the Health Span Solution, on because 6 days a week, we're vegan.
Yeah, whole foods, vegan, no added salt, sugar, fat, 6 days a week.
Right.
Day 7, we get to have whatever we want, but
Right.
Because I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Southern boy myself.
Oh my gosh!
Your food speaks to me.
Yes, it does. I can tell you.
And I can't turn down good fried chicken.
No.
I can't, those things. So, but 6 days a week, we're good. And the difference it's made, we've both lost 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And kept it off. And it's been none of the processed stuff.
No, you just cannot eat it. You cannot eat processed food.
And when you're shopping, that's I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize. When you stop shopping in the middle of the grocery store and you go only to the produce section or only to the outsides of the grocery store, you don't realize how much food is processed and marketed at you.
It's true. Yeah. And plus, condiments are full of stuff.
Yeah. But I'm going to tell you that when I have a day 7 after a race, and particularly like say a Run Disney race,
right?
I want to tell you that one of my first places that I want to go is Homecoming.
Oh yeah, that's a must stop every time we're there.
You like it.
My gosh,
I'm really glad you like it.
Like the fried chicken and the donut.
It was just a bonus that we got to accost you the last
I know.
time, one of the last times that we were up there because you were busy working.
I know
the room.
we did.
That's very sweet of you.
No, it was wonderful of you to spend some time with us,
yes.
and that was fantastic.
You're very welcome.
I wanted to ask you if as we kind of transition from the running portion to the eating portion, I want to talk a little bit about your career and your restaurants. You spent 10 years as Oprah Winfrey's chef, and you have a couple of restaurants, just a couple.
Right.
Atlanta being where I went. I went to college at Emory and lived there for about 7 years. And we actually travel back to Atlanta every year for Jeff Galloway's
half marathon. Yeah.
You've got the Southern Art and Bar, Bourbon Bar. There, Art and Soul in Washington, D.C., Blue Door Kitchen in Chicago, and Orlando, of course, is Art Smith's Homecoming.
Right, and then we have Did you say Southern Art Atlanta?
Yes, sir.
We have Chicago Q in Chicago. We have Blue Door Kitchen and Garden in Chicago. And then I have Art Bird in New York. And then in 18 Live Nation amphitheaters, I have Art Bird.
All right. Well, what the question I had for
Yeah.
you, because we were looking at menus, and they're I don't even want to say they're similar, because they're not, but there does seem to be maybe a thematic or a connection.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about your inspirations and the things maybe that, and I think, of course, I could say, well, the connection is it's art. He's the connection, but is there something that you think runs through, or is a guiding light or a signpost for you when you're coming up with these concepts?
For me, it's like I find that, first of all, I'm not French, I'm not Italian, I'm Southern. And so I'm going to focus on what I know and who I am.
It's your roots.
That was something Oprah Winfrey taught me.
Wow.
And, I learned a lot from the best people in the business, Oprah, Martha Stewart, and all these great people. And it is not, I used to get made fun of for cooking food like this. And of course now,
What? I don't understand that.
It was homey and housewifey. And I'm like,
It's comfort. It's home. And, oh my gosh.
So I just started placement of these foods, and Oprah loved it. And every time I made it, she would brag about it. And then, of course, that blew it up. And the whole way fried chicken got popular because it was for her 50th birthday, and all of Hollywood ate it, so it went everywhere. But the thing is that I'm a believer that simplistic, delicious food, whether it is Southern, is always going to be popular. And then when I started doing the Epcot Food and Wine Festival, I'd eat the same places, and I said, they really need a Southern American restaurant. And I wrote Bob Iger an email, and I said, you really need this. And he answered me, and there you have it. That restaurant came from an email.
Are you serious?
Homecoming came from an email to Bob Iger.
Exactly.
And I'm sure, we know your roots in terms of study and everything. I am a former Florida State Seminole myself, but also having a cast member return to his roots, that has to be amazing for.
Well, they're very proud of that. But the best thing that happened to me at Florida State, I was a horrible student, but the best thing that happened there was, I did go to hotel school, but you don't go to hotel school to be a chef, that management. But that school of business at FSU was always tough. Oh my God. I think I hold the record of taking accounting, but anyway, so many times. But what happened is the dean, felt sorry for me. He said, Art, I know you're having trouble in school. You're a student. You're not a great student, but I want to send you over to the governor's house and you help him out. Well, when he did that, my whole life changed.
Really?
Because what happened was I started helping them. I wasn't paid, but they liked me, the nice little Southern boy that came over and helped. And I was very talented with making stuff look pretty on a plate. And then they called me and said, we have a special guest and we don't have anybody to cook for him. Would you cook? And this is where I learned the great lesson. Who's your audience? I said, who am I cooking for?
Right.
Baryshnikov. I said, I think so. Isn't he the world's most famous ballet dancer? And this was
Mikhail Baryshnikov? Yeah.
1903, after White Nights with him and Gregory Hines came out.
Of course.
He was just crazy huge. Everybody he was the biggest sex symbol in the world.
Loved it.
And so I cooked for Mr. Baryshnikov and got the job.
Oh my God.
He later came to Chicago, and he was very sweet. He acted like he remembered me, because I fed him at the governor's house, and so maybe he did, but he was very sweet. And I met his girlfriend Jessica Lang, and I met his children, beautiful, and I'm sure they're now big and everything. But he's an amazing man. But if it wasn't for that dean at FSU, the governor, Mikhail Baryshnikov, I would not be where I am now. It's crazy, right?
And
what a just a fortuitous event.
Yeah, I mean, like an email created a very one of the most successful restaurants at Walt Disney World.
I know it, and I can tell you, I was listening to, when I was running today, another podcast about, if you could have any restaurant on Disney property brought to you anywhere in the world via Uber Eats or whatever delivery service, the overwhelming answer was Art Smith's Homecoming.
Well, that was sweet.
Yeah.
And I know what I would get. It'd be those chicken biscuits.
The thigh-high chicken biscuits,
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm prepared. I told him, I said, whatever way we have to go about doing it so everyone's happy, we'll just do it. We have to, prepackage everything, and that's what we'll do because people are missing it and they need the comfort. And so we'll just do it. That's just how it is. I love that song, Andrea Day song, I'll rise up. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to rise up and we're going to do it. You know what I mean? And, it's scary. And I have to tell you, it is scary. I've never been a person to sit around and not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very goal focused. And, I tell you, the toughest thing has been for me, one of the toughest things in my entire life, it wasn't the fact that I, was born in a small town and gay and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I dealt with all that, but I'm back here. But what was tough for me was becoming a dad. What it was like to be a dad. Being a dad is tough, okay? And because I just want to be the good guy all the time, and unfortunately, that don't work. But what you do is you have to celebrate the good days and try to learn to cope with the bad days.
Yeah.
And because they don't always see it the way you do. No. And but my son was coming down the stairs and he goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." Because I was quiet. I was just sitting there, and they're not used to seeing me quiet, But I said, "No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good." But it's just when you think they don't care, they do care, But I'm very grateful of my success with Homecoming.
Oh, yeah,
I'm grateful that I'm loved.
And it's are
wonderful to be loved.
And let me tell you also, the post-race beverage of choice would also come from Homecoming. You have a sweet tea shine.
I know this drink very well.
That is just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, the people love it. I've actually never had it, but people love it. But, because I'm kind of the most undrinkingest chef, and I've had to really cut out alcohol, and because it helps because I can't control my weight if I drink it, and
that makes sense.
I love it, but I'll have it like a special, like once a week.
Yeah.
So let me ask you then, when you're designing the menu, then are you taking an active hand in the beverage design as well, or is that something that you don't focus on as much?
Well, I have people who work on all that. The whole idea of the moonshine bar came from the fact that my great grandfather was a moonshiner.
Was he really?
Yeah, and I thought that it would be fun to promote that.
That is fun.
It's like my granddad in West Virginia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it was typical in those days because people made everything. I mean, I think my great grandfather drank more than he actually made that he sold, But he was a good man, and I loved him because he was an entrepreneur, But
I love.
But
love
that's great. Yeah, there's a story behind most everything there.
I love that inspiration.
But I'm really very fortunate.
You have a organization you're connected to, Common Threads.
We started it 15 years ago, and the whole premise of the program, in fact, my other half, was his idea, and the whole premise is to teach young people how to cook. And if we taught them how to cook, then they would eat better.
Yeah.
But when we started it, the focus was that while we teach them how to cook, let's teach them how to love. And it was really important that we teach them things like that wherever you are in the world, love is love, and every mother has their idea of how they show their love, like wherever you are in the world, a mother is making something for their child
show their love. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of the premise. And so we started with 15 kids 15 years ago. And today we teach over 250,000 kids across the country. Before all this happened, we opened 150 locations in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And it is the foremost after school kids cooking program. And I think we don't really call it after school anymore, but it's an in school cooking program.
Yeah.
You know, it's really very successful. So we're very, very, very happy and pleased that we've done this. And, you know, I look forward in doing more. I've also started a grassroots program here called Reunion. And the whole premise of Reunion is to really help rural communities rebuild. And what a more appropriate time with what's happened.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
So that's where I'm too. I mean, I love being successful in business, but I want to be successful enough so that I can do more and give more.
That's always been a common theme with you when I've seen you on TV, and I love that about you.
I just remember that so much on Chopped.
Yes.
When I saw you, and
you know, I've been able to do some of that, but I haven't yet. But you know what, people have to understand too, and this is the part most people don't really understand what it takes to do this stuff. And you know, and really quite honest with you, that's not their job to understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It's your job to do your best to provide a program that you know that for them. So
yeah.
Anyway,
we will link back to all of that, to your website and to your organization.
You can go to commonthreads.org.
Yes.
And you can go to Facebook. You can go to I think it's under. I should have this a bit. It's Reunion Center. Reunion Center on Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay.
We will link to all of that, and we can't tell you how grateful we are that you have taken the time to talk with us, and you are an inspiration, and I truly hope that I can cross the finish line at Chicago like you did.
Well, let's be more inspirational and do the marathon together. How about that?
Do the Disney marathon together?
Deal.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. What a dream.
When is that thing?
That's at the beginning of January.
Okay. So
how do you feel about that?
I have time to practice.
Yeah, I got to have lots of time to practice.
Okay.
To be as fast as you.
Yeah. I would love to do that. That'd be fun.
I
don't know how I can actually be at Disney and not do that. And not ever done that. I think it's important that I would do that. You know.
Oh God, we would love to do that with you. That would be so
let's
inspirational.
Let's make it happen. Okay.
Okay.
It's a deal.
I'll even run it.
All right.
Oh, he said he would never do it.
I said I would never run a marathon. I would run a marathon with
Oh my
Chef Art
God,
Smith.
this is amazing.
We'd be fun. We'd be fun. And then we have to have a big fun party.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. And I know where we're going to have it too.
Guys.
Thank you so much again, Chef.
It was a pleasure, and thank you for being supportive of my work and everything. And I hope to see you real soon, okay? And talk to you before the marathon.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We can't thank Chef Art Smith enough for giving us so much of his time.
Generous with his time and generous in giving back to the community.
Yeah, he's always got some sort of a program or something churning and ready to go, and he's always working towards creating something that's going to improve other people's lives, and we just love that about him.
So, such a great soul.
And the guy knows his way around a kitchen.
Oh, my goodness.
So, now we have covered his restaurant on a previous episode, and there's
Homecoming and I mean, I can't wait to get to the others that he talked about in the interview.
Yes. Now, his restaurant group does include Splitsville as well at Disney Springs. So those are two properties that he is involved with. But, you know, Homecoming is his signature location. And Homecoming, if you like good Southern cooking, you're looking for a great way to get back some of those calories you ran off at a Disney race,
or just indulge.
Oh, yeah.
It's your day to indulge, like we have a day to indulge.
Absolutely. And get some of that sweet tea shine like you were talking about.
It's so good.
It
Do you know
really
how
is.
many of the sippers that I have?
Yeah, the sippy cups.
Yeah,
because you buy
not
the
a
sippy.
sippy cup. Really?
That's what I call it.
Really?
It's a squeeze bottle.
Yes.
And it's got these beautifully stylized neoprene wraps, and you buy it. It's full of the sweet tea shine, and then you get a discounted refill every time you bring it back.
But they also make perfect water bottles for running.
That too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and speaking of that, I can't believe that moment we had at the end of the interview.
Well,
You know,
if Chef Art Smith's going to say, let's run it together,
yeah,
I'm not going to say no.
of course.
So, yeah, you heard it here.
Yeah.
Aimee and I are, in fact, we've talked about it. We've mentioned it before, but this makes it official. You've heard it here. We are officially training for the Disney Marathon 2021. We have already paid for our registration.
Sure. And we're hoping that it's able to be.
We'll see what happens.
And we'll see what happens. Not canceled.
Yeah. And
Not going virtual.
In the meantime, Aimee's been keeping in contact with Chef Smith.
Yep.
We're hoping to have him back on the show at some
Sure.
point to give us a training update.
Yes.
Probably as we head into the fall.
Yes. And, he mentioned having a big celebration at the end.
I won't say no to that either. Something
Right?
tells me he knows how to party.
And I just want to know what his ultimate party plan would be.
I don't know, but if Moby shows up, I might,
Oh,
squeal.
yeah, for
So.
sure. Hello. The man knows how to party, knows how to cook, knows how to run, knows how to get fit.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like his personal trainers have been, or friends who are training him have been just amazing, and I've seen I've seen the change in him over the months.
Oh, I love his series on Instagram.
Yeah, he's so welcoming into his home.
Oh my gosh.
Doing basically these cooking demos or lessons. It's just a lot of fun. And if you haven't checked him out, go check him out. We're going to have links in our show notes to all of the stuff we talked about with him.
Mm-hmm.
Go check him out. And we can't thank Chef Smith enough for giving so much of his time to us. And we're looking forward to crossing the finish line with him in January.
Oh, yeah. I may be bringing up the rear, but then we will party. And it's amazing to think that we will party with such an amazing person. Well, that does it for this episode. And next week, we're going to keep training at it. I'm going to keep healing. And we're going to get ready for the next round of virtuals and prepare for that Disney trip. Hopefully get those medals. We'll report back about that.
Yeah, we do have some new virtual races that we're going to get started on.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bunch of training to do, and we'll see where Aimee's ankle is next week.
Yeah,
So,
I know I have some miles to make up.
Yeah.
I know.
But
I
you
got to
got
get
it.
there. I got to get there, And you all have been so supportive out there on social media of me and of Dana jumping into those live videos that we do, and supportive of me as I'm healing through this injury. There are so many ways that you have supported the show, and some of you have reached out and shouted us out on social media. It would be great if anybody who has not done that would share us and tag us on social media, or another absolutely free way that you can support the show, and that so many of you have done, and we are so grateful for, is going into Apple Podcasts and giving us a rating and review, because that is how we grow our Runcation Nation. That is how people discover us on Apple Podcasts. And we can't thank you enough if you take time. And we have in the past even read some of those ratings and reviews on the show.
Yeah, and those ratings and reviews make a world of difference. It's all about the algorithm, and the more of those that we get, the more often people see us when they start searching for things related to our topics.
Yes, and some of you have also purchased Runny Drink Podcast swag, like running shorts or a bar key from runnydrink.net, and we can't thank you enough. And of course, if you love what you hear and you want to support us long term, we have a way you can do that too.
Go to patreon.com/runnydrinkpodcast. We have multiple patronage levels from $2 to $10, and each have their own special perks just for you. Or if you're a Podbean user, go to patron.podbean.com/runeatdrinkpodcast, and you can hear Danny even supports the idea of you sponsoring the show.
Our puppies support and appreciate so much our patrons of the show. Exact same levels, exact same dollar amounts, whether you do it on patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast or right in the Podbean app by tapping on Become a Patron at the top of the page. And we can't thank you all enough for supporting our show.
So guys, that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, or wherever you are.
I'm your host, Aimee.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe, stay well, and we will talk to you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.